Good evening, friends. It's so great to see you again. We missed seeing you last night, but we were online. We were praying with some friends and praying for each of you. And we were praying in some special ways. We talked about how we can create sacred and special places in our homes, in our backyards, in our driveways for us to pray in, for our families to pray in, and maybe for even a neighbor to walk along and pray with. We talked about how we can pray with our senses. We talked about how we can pray with our eyes when we see things. We talked about how we can pray with our nose as we smell things that remind us of God. We talked about how we can pray with our ears as we hear things. We talked about how we can pray with our tongues as we taste things that remind us and bring us special joy and comfort into holy places. And we talked about how we can pray with our touch, with our skin, our hands, and the things that we touch with. Maybe that's even a hug or a holding of hands or something like that maybe you can't do as often right now with everyone. But we talked about all those ways we can pray, and I wonder how you pray. I wonder how you've created sacred spaces in your house. I wonder how you use your senses to pray. Maybe you can share that with us. Tonight, Bandit and I want to tell you that there's something special coming up. It's starting next week. It starts on Sunday, and that is Holy Week that starts, and it's a special time that we enter into as we prepare for Easter. As Lent is getting ready to end, and we have special things like Maundy, Thursday, and Good Friday, and Holy Saturday, where all of our stories next week will have to do with Easter and are preparing for that. Tonight's story is a special one. It's about Jesus and two of his friends Mary and Martha. And this story is by someone that I know. It's by someone in my family. Her name is Marty Rhodes Figley. And I really hope that you enjoy it as much as we do. Mary and Martha. Written by Marty Rhodes Figley. Illustrated by Kat Bowman Smith. Martha and Mary were sisters who shared the same house, but they were as different as morning and evening. Martha kept busy all the time. She liked to shop at the market, make spicy stews, and bake fresh bread. When she wasn't cooking, Martha would scrub the floor, wash the clothes, and dust all the furniture. Sometimes Martha worked so hard that she forgot to take a rest. Then she would get grumpy and out of sorts. Be quiet, she would yell at the children who played hide and seek in the shady courtyard. Mary was not busy all the time. She liked to think about ideas, read interesting books, strum her harp, write letters to friends, and play hide and seek with the children in the shady courtyard. Sometimes Mary daydreamed so much that she forgot to do her household task. Then she would apologize to Martha. "I'm sorry, big sister. I'm sorry I forgot to buy pomegranates at the market." "Oh, chicken feathers," Martha would say in frustration. What was she going to do about Mary? Jesus was a good friend of both Martha and Mary. He knew he was always welcome at their house. It was a place where he could rest and relax. One day, Jesus came for a visit. He needed a rest from his preaching and teaching. Martha was excited. "I must make my spicy stew, bake fresh bread, cut slices of delicious honey cake, and fix a cozy place for Jesus to sleep tonight," she said as she rushed around the house. Mary was glad to see Jesus too, but she did not rush around the house. Instead, she sat on the floor by Jesus' feet. He told her many wise and wonderful things, and her face shone as she listened. Meanwhile, Martha got busier and busier, but things weren't going well in the kitchen. The spicy stew was burning, the bread wasn't baking fast enough, and Martha discovered that the honey cake was gone. Mary had eaten it all for breakfast. "Oh, chicken feathers!" exclaimed Martha. What was she going to serve for dessert? Worst of all,
When Martha carried the heavy stew pot to the table, she almost tripped over Mary, who was still sitting at Jesus' feet. Martha was annoyed. She turned to Jesus and asked in a grumpy voice, "Why don't you tell Mary to help me with dinner? She's just sitting there doing nothing." Jesus smiled at Martha and made her sit down beside him. "Martha," he said, "you're working too hard on the dinner. Your sister Mary is doing something very important. She has chosen to sit quietly and listen to my teachings. That is the better thing to do." The next morning, after Jesus had left, Mary went to the market with a list, and she came back with a brimming basket. "Look at these beautiful pomegranates," she exclaimed to Martha. Martha smiled but set the basket aside. "I'm sorry I was cross with you, Mary, and I'm sad that I missed hearing what Jesus told you, all those wise and wonderful things." Mary hugged Martha and said, "You need a rest today, big sister. This morning you must let me cook and clean for you, and then I will tell you all the things that Jesus had said." Martha tried to stay inside and fold laundry, but Mary was firm. "You need to get out of the house." "Oh, chicken feathers," Martha said, as usual, but she let Mary push her out the door. "Don't think about work," Mary said. "Have some fun. Go play hide and seek with the children in the shady courtyard." And that is just what Martha did. The end.